Um,
Yes, Mother. Thank you.
okay, fine. Text 20 we're starting from, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 20. Atho pasprashya salilam sandade tat samahitaha ajanannapi sangharam pranakrishra upasthite.
Translation. Since his life was in danger, he touched water in sanctity and concentrated upon the chanting of the hymns for throwing nuclear weapons, although he did not know how to withdraw such weapons.
Tata pradrushkritam teja prachandam sarvato disham pranapadam bhipreshya vishrum jishruruvachaha.
Translation. Thereupon a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjuna thought his life was in danger, and so he began to address Lord Sri Krishna.
Arjuna uvacha Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Bhayankara Tvameko Dahyamananam Pavagorsi Sansritehe.
Arjuna said, O my Lord Sri Krishna, you are the almighty personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only.
Tvamadhya Purusha Sakshat Ishvara Prakrite Paraha Mayam Yudasya Chichaktya Kevalye Sthita Atmani.
You are the original personality of Godhead who expands himself all over the creations and is transcendental to material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of your spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge.
Sa eva jiva lokasya maya mohitasaha vidhatse svena viryena shreyo dharmadilakshanam.
And yet, though you are beyond the purview of the material energy, you execute the four principles of liberation, characterized by religion, and so on for the ultimate good of the conditioned souls.
Yathayam chavataraste bhuvo bharajihirshaya swanam chananya bhavanam anudhyanaya chaskrita.
Thus, you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are constantly wrapped in meditation upon you.
Imitam switkuto veti deva deva na vedyam yaham sarvato mukhamayati teja param darudam.
O Lord of Lords, how is it that this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand it.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vetatedam Drona Putrasya Brahman Mastram Pradarshitam Naiva Soved Sangharam Pranabadha Upasthite.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Know from me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death.
न ह्यस्यान्यतं किञ्चिद् अस्त्रं प्रत्यवकर्षणं जहयस्त्रतेज उन्नध्वम् अस्त्रो हस्त्रतेजसा.
O Arjuna, only another Brahmastra can counteract this weapon. Since you are the expert in military science, subdue this weapon's glare with the power of your own weapon.
सूत उवाच श्रुत्वा भगवता प्रोक्तं फाल्गुना परिवीरः स्पृष्टवापस्तं परिक्रम्य ब्राह्मणास्त्रं सन्धते.
Sri Sutta Goswami said, hearing this from the personality of Godhead, Arjuna touched the water for purification, and after circumambulating Lord Sri Krishna, he cast his Brahmastra weapon to counteract the other one.
संहत्यान्योन्यमुभयोस् तेजसी शरसंवृते आवृत्य रोदसीखं च ववृधातिर्कवहनिवत्.
When the rays of the two Brahmastras combined, a great circle of fire, like the disk of the sun, covered all outer space and the whole firmament of planets.
दृष्ट्वास्त्रतेजस्तु तयोस्त्रिलोकान् प्रदहन्मत्महत् दह्यमाना प्रजा सर्वा संवर्तकमंसत.
All the population of the three worlds were scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvartaka fire, which takes place at the same time of annihilation.
प्रजोपद्रवमालक्ष्य लोकव्यतिकरं च तं मतं च वासुदेवस्य सज्जहारार्जुनोद्वयम्.
Thus, seeing the disturbance of the general populace and the imminent destruction of the planets, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons as Lord Sri Krishna desired.
तत आसाद्य तरसा दारुणं गौतमी सुतं बबन्धामर्षताम्राश पशुं रशनया यथा.
Arjuna, his eyes blazing in anger like two red balls of copper, dexterously arrested the son of Gautam and bound him with ropes like an animal.
शिबिराय निनिशन्तं रज्वा बद्ध्वा रिपुंबलात् प्राहार्जुनं प्रकुपितो भगवानं बुझे क्षणः.
After banning Aswathama, Arjuna wanted to take him to the military camp. The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, looking on with his lotus eye, spoke to Arjuna in an angry mood.
मैनं पार्थार्हसि त्रातुमं ब्रह्मा बन्धुम् इमं जहि योऽस्याव अनागसः सुप्तान् अवधिन्निशि बालकान्.
Lord Sri Krishna said, O Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahmana, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep.
Mattam pramattam unmattam suptam balam striyam jadam prapannam viritham bhitam aripum hanti dharmavita.
A person who knows the principles of religion does not kill an enemy who's careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, afraid, or devoid of his chariot. Nor does he kill a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, or a surrendered soul.
Swaprananayah parpranoho prapushratya घृणा खलः तदधस्त्य हि श्रेयो यत्तोषाध्यात्यध पुमान्.
A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions.
प्रतिश्रुतं च भवता पाञ्चाल्यै शृण्वतो मम आहरिष्ये शिरस्तस्य यस्ते मानिनि पुत्रः.
Furthermore, I have personally heard you promise Draupadi that you would bring forth the head of the killer of her sons.
Do we stop here on verse 38, right?
Yeah, that's what I read. I have read, Mataji, but as you wish.
Yeah, no, we'll stop here at verse 38. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Mataji. Thank you, and please forgive me for my mistakes.
No, you were reciting very, very well. Thank you very much. And also Puja Mataji, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you for joining. I hope you all are having a wonderful Kartik month. And I hope you all are able to visit the manor so you can offer candles to Yashoda Damodar. Okay, let me just get my PowerPoint. Okay, I think you all can see now. So yeah, we are on. Yeah, that's better. Can everybody see? Okay, we have a very quiet audience today. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, so we are on chapter 7, son of Drona punished. Before we start, let's just recite some prayers. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiret shrinvantam swakatha krishna punya shravana kirtana hridayanta stohiya bhadrani vidunote shruhatsatam nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So today we are going to do verse number 23 of the 7th chapter, 1st canto, Son of Drona Punished. Tvamadya Purusha Shakshat Ishvara Prakrite Paraha Mayam Vyudasya Chitsak Chaktya Kevalye Sthita Atmani. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation. You are the original personality of Godhead who expands himself all over the creations and is transcendental to material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of your spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. Purport. Would anybody want to read the purport?
Can I read it, Mataji?
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. The Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita that one who surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord can get release from the clutches of nuisance. Krishna is just like the sun, and Maya or material existence is just like darkness. Whatever there is the light of the sun, darkness or ignorance at once vanishes. The best means to get out of the world of ignorance is suggested here. The Lord is addressed herein as the original personality of Godhead. From him, all other personalities of Godhead expand. The all-pervasive Lord Vishnu is Lord Krishna's planetary portion or expansion. The Lord expands himself in innumerable forms of Godhead and living beings, along with his different energies. But Sri Krishna is the original primeval Lord from whom everything emanates. The all-pervasive feature of the Lord experience um, experience within the manifested world is also a partial representation of the Lord. Paramatma therefore is included within him. He is the absolute personality of Godhead. He is nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material manifestation because he is far above the material creation. Darkness is a perverse representation of the sun, and therefore the existence of darkness depends on the existence of the sun. But in the sun proper, there is no trace of darkness, as the sun is full of light only. Similarly, the absolute personality of Godhead beyond the material existence is full of bliss. He is not only full of bliss, but also full of transcendental variegatedness. Transcendence is not at all static, but full of dynamic variegatedness. He is distinct from the material nature, which is complicated by the three modes of material nature. He is Parama or the chief. Therefore, he is absolute. He has manifold energies, and though through his diverse energies, he creates, manifests, maintains, and destroys the material world in his own abode. However, everything is eternal and absolute. The world is not conducted by the energies of powerful agents by themselves, but by the potent, all-powerful with all energies. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shipra Mataji. Before we continue, we'll recite our Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatirubhascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Okay, quite a strong verse and purport, quite philosophical. So let's see what all we can discuss from here. So the first thing that we see, the background, everybody knows. You have been attending these sessions, I'm sure you know, but the background here is that Ashwadama has killed the sons of Draupadi, of the Pandavas. He's killed the sons, and now he is obviously running away, and he can see that Arjuna is chasing after him. His horses are tired. He's worried that there is going to be no escape from him. And in such a state where he thinks he has no other alternative, he then releases the Brahmastra, which Srila Prabhupada translates as the nuclear weapon. And as we've seen in the past verses, he's released the Brahmastra, but he doesn't know how to call it back. And once he's released the Brahmastra, Arjuna, who was chasing after him, sees this really bright, effulgent, shining light, and he is worried. He doesn't know what it is. And in such a state, he turns towards Lord Krishna. So the interesting thing to see here is that how Arjuna, in every moment of his life, is just seeking the shelter of Lord Krishna. And before he starts actually asking the questions about what this light is, or etc., etc., he is addressing Krishna in so many different terms. You will see in the previous verse, he's addressed Krishna in different ways, and in this verse also we will go through that he's addressing Krishna in so many different ways. First of all, a point to be noted is that he is immediately taking shelter of Krishna. And the second point is that he's addressing Krishna in different ways. So he is actually establishing who is God, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth. He's doing this for readers and listeners of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the absolute truth is, as we can see here in one of Prabhupada's purport from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.26, it says, before the creation, Krishna was existing. And when there is creation, everything is resting in Krishna. And when this creation is finished, Krishna will remain. Therefore, he is absolute truth in all circumstances. That is God. Everybody cannot be God. We've heard so many times in Prabhupada's lectures how these days we can actually manufacture gods. Gods just come. Everybody becomes God. But when you see the actual definition of God, we can see who Krishna is, who God actually is. And you will see that Arjuna is addressing him in these terms, to establish that this is God, right? So Sri Krishna is the original primeval Lord from whom everything emanates. This we have read in the purport just now when Shipra Mataji was reading. We read that he's the original personality of Godhead. Very important for all of us to understand this aspect. And so many times in our scriptures, this is being spoken about, that he is the original. Everything else emanates from him. All his plenary expansions or other expansions, everything emanates from him. So we've got Vishnu Tattvas and we've got Jiva Tattvas. We also are expansions of Krishna. Vishnu Tattvas are also expansions of Krishna. everything emanates from him. And we have this very famous verse from the Bhagavatam. I'm sure all of you have heard this verse and know this verse quite well. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. So he is saying that I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds and everything emanates from me. What is important to understand over here is very interesting, and Prabhupada explains this. And here we are going to defy the logic of modern maths. Modern math says 1 plus 1 is 2 and 1 minus 1 is 0. But when you understand this concept, here it's 1 plus 1 is also 1 and 1 minus 1 is also 1. Why is Prabhupada saying this? Is because when everything is emanating from him, that does not mean that Krishna loses any of his energy. He still has all his potencies with him. And his emanations, Vishnu Tattvas, also have the potencies. So although, he is one, so many incarnations are there. We've read in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto about Krishna's various incarnations, and about 20 incarnations were described. And then it was said, what is the point of discussing this? Because his incarnations are like rivulets. There's so many of them. So all of those incarnations, all the Vishnu Tatts have the same energy, the same potencies as Krishna. And thus, Prabhupada is explaining that 1 plus 1 also is 1, and 1 minus 1 is also 1. So there is nothing that is taken away from Krishna. Krishna is the supreme and he is the original. So for us, it's important to understand who is the original source of everything. And our scriptures time and time again speak about this. So again, very important point which Prabhupada makes in one of his lectures, that we have to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through authority and not by speculation. We've discussed this point many times, that Krishna cannot be understood by reciting all the Vedic hymns or by studying all the scriptures and by hearting everything. And Prabhupada quotes this verse in a couple of his purports actually. And it says that the Supreme Lord is not obtained by expert explanations, by vast intelligence, nor even by much hearing. He is obtained only by one whom he himself chooses. To such a person, he manifests his own form. So then the question is that, it says here he is obtained only by one whom he himself chooses. And that is true. But also, we are in the month of Kartik. And we all know the famous pastime of Damodar, where Yashoda Mai is trying to tie the young Krishna onto a wooden grinding mortar. Of course, her thoughts are pure. She only wants to protect her naughty son on a day where she knows she's going to be very busy, and she does not want him to get into any kind of trouble. And so okay, that's better. So yes, Yashoda Mai is she wants to tie him up to this wooden grinding mortar. After I won't go into the detail of the pastime because I'm sure it must have been discussed already. But when she uses this thread to tie him up, it falls 2 fingers too short, right? So then she collects more thread from the house and she joins this thread and she tries to tie him again. And again, it is 2 fingers too short. And then she gets more thread. Eventually, she's collected all the thread, all the ropes that she's got in her house, and yet she is unable to tie little baby Krishna. Now, Yashoda Mai is thinking, my son has not expanded at all. So what is it? Why is it that I'm not able to tie, right? And the other gopis have been watching this with amusement and also with some kind of, what is going on. And so they want to help Yashodamai. And so they bring ropes and, silk satin yarns and ropes from their houses, and they hand it over to Yashodamai. And even after joining all of them, invariably, every time she is falling 2 fingers too short. And what do those 2 fingers signify? So our acharyas say that those 2 fingers signify, one is the endeavor that a devotee is making, and the second is the mercy of the Lord. So we can see here that it is being said that he is obtained only by one whom he himself chooses. So Krishna chooses to give mercy to somebody who is making the endeavor. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Ishvara sarvabhutanam riddesha arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. So what in the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna is trying to say and what we are understanding is that the Lord is within each and every one of us. He is within our hearts. The only problem is that we have turned away from the Lord. But Krishna never gives up on us. He is always there. He is constantly waiting for us to form a relationship. As we can see, Arjuna had a relation with Krishna. He used to sit with him, eat with him, play, sleep together. They had a relation. Each and every one of us has a relation with Krishna, but we have forgotten it. And that is why we need to establish our relation again with Krishna. And how does it mean? How do we establish a relation? How do we associate with Krishna? So our acharyas have given us various ways that we can establish. And the 5 principal rasas that are spoken about is Shantaras and Dasyaras and Vatsalya and Madhurya. And what else? Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, friendly, Vatsalya, parental, and Madhurya. So there are these 5 relationships which we can establish. Now one may say that, it was easy for Arjuna to have a relation with Krishna because he was with Krishna physically. But again, our acharyas say that association means that you develop love. And you can develop love only when you know who Krishna is, when you read about him, when you listen to him, when you listen to what he's talking about, when you hear the pastimes that he has with his various associates. So that way we can re-establish our lost relation with Krishna. Now, so first thing, we have to understand who is God, right? Which is being pointed out very clearly in this particular verse. Krishna is being addressed in this verse like, Tvam Adhya, you are the original. Purusha, the enjoying personality. Sakshat Ishvara, directly the controller. Para, transcendental. So see how many ways Krishna is being addressed over here. And we have heard this also, that Krishna is Bhagavan. Why? Because Krishna possesses 6 opulences in full. In the 3rd chapter, 28 verse, we read this verse, Ete chamcha kala pumcha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Right? So here we do have all the characteristics. Like Prabhupada says in his lectures sometimes that I am giving you, the scriptures are giving you and the acharyas are giving you the name who is God, who his parents are, where does he live, his address is being given to us, what his characteristics are, who his friends are, what pastimes he has performed. So, and still people are asking, who is God? Can you show me God? Where is God? God doesn't exist. There is no God. That is because we are not willing to see. And here again, the analogy which has been used so many times in the past, and in this purport also Prabhupada uses the analogy of the sun. Where there is sun, there is no darkness. Darkness is not an independent character. It cannot be present. It doesn't happen just like that. It's the absence of sun where there is darkness. And so it is being explained in this verse that where there is Krishna, there can be no confusion about who God is. Once you understand who God is, once you know that this is God, this is the characteristics of God, it's being explained very clearly by Mahajans like Arjuna. So we have to follow these great Mahajans who have taught us, who have explained to us all these details very, very clearly, right? Now, the question is then that here, sorry, one more point. So Krishna is speaking about himself also in the scriptures. So like here we've got Bhagavad Gita 7.7. I won't go into the whole verse, but Mata Parataram Nanyat Kanchit. No one equal to or above him. This verse we just recited, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. He is the source of everything. Ete Chamsha Kala Pumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And in verse Bhagavad Gita 5.29, he says, Krishna is the supreme proprietor, controller, enjoyer, and well-wisher. So like I said, that either from eternal associates of Krishna or from Krishna himself and from our acharyas, we are getting clear understanding of who God is. If we choose to hide ourselves and if we choose to close our eyes and not take the sunlight, then that is our fault. But otherwise, we are given the clear understanding about this. So then the point is, once I know who God is, then what am I meant to do? Right? So in the purport, Prabhupada says, the Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita that one who surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord can get release from the clutches of nescience. So the point is that once you know who God is, then you have to surrender to the lotus feet, take shelter, which is what Arjuna is doing here. As soon as Arjuna sees something which he does not understand, he immediately is taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. Arjuna as a personality is constantly taking shelter of the Lord, whether it is in difficult situations or not difficult situations. He is always taking shelter of the Lord. Now, for us, the problem is that when we are in this external energy, when we are in the material energy and being bound by the modes of material nature, we find it difficult to understand God. Now we understand that the external energy, this material world, this material energy also emanates from Krishna. So it belongs to Krishna, as is being stated in this verse as well and elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita. But once we are in this material energy, because we are covered by so many different kinds of activities that we have performed in the past, and because of that our consciousness is covered. Like we speak about how when a mirror is covered by a layer of dust, you cannot see your reflection. And likewise, we, because of so many lifetimes of doing various kinds of things, our consciousness is no longer pure. It's covered. And that is why we are not able to understand him. However, the Lord also says in the Gita that, yes, this energy is difficult, but somebody who surrenders unto me can easily cross beyond it. And this very famous verse, 7.14, Devi hi shagunamai mama maya duratyaya mam evaya prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So here Krishna himself is saying that yes, this divine energy of mine is very difficult, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So the surrender will come when you get some understanding of who God is. Once we know God, once we understand God through various scriptures, our acharyas, then we surrender to the Lord like how Arjuna is surrendering to him. The whole essence of the Bhagavad Gita is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayashami Masucha. So here Krishna is telling us that abandon everything, abandon all variety of religion, just surrender unto me. And I promise you that I will take care of all your sinful reactions, right? So again, in the purport, Prabhupada is saying that the best means to get out of the world of ignorance is suggested here in this particular verse, right? So yes, we have said that the material energy, although it is Krishna's energy, it is very difficult to overcome. However, when one comes to the spiritual energy, one can understand him. How does one come to the spiritual energy? Right? And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that one who wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead must take to the platform of bhakti or Krishna consciousness. There is no other way of cutting these chains which are holding us, be it the chain of passion, ignorance, or goodness. Our acharyas explain that it could be an iron chain, a silver chain, or a gold chain, but at the end of the day, it is a chain which is binding you. You are in this prison house and you will not be able to get out of this unless you take to understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5 verse 16, it says that when, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. So very often the analogy of the sun is being used. Even in the purport, Prabhupada very clearly says that where there is sun, there can be no darkness, right? And same way, where there is knowledge, where there is understanding of who Krishna is, and what our relation with Krishna is and how can we reestablish that relation, then in that case, there can be no ignorance. Then one is able to surrender to the Lord and one is able to come to your true spiritual identity, knowing that the external, this body is just a covering and it is temporary. My true identity is my eternal soul. And my soul is part and parcel of the super soul, which is Krishna. So once you come to that understanding, once you think about that, then you are able to reestablish your lost relation. And in the purport, Prabhupada is talking about how that he has nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material manifestation. He has created this, but he has nothing to do with this. Like the analogy Prabhupada uses many times is that the government has to create the prison houses in order to send people who are making mistakes into these prison houses. But the government has got nothing to do with it, in the sense that even if the governor goes to the prison house, that the rules and regulations of the prison house does not affect him at all. In the same way, although this material world has been created by the Lord himself, he is far above this material creation. And then the other point that is being made in the purport is that he's full of transcendental variegatedness. Variegatedness is variety. In the spiritual world, there is variety, like how in the material world there is variety. However, in the material world, like we read, it is a perverse reflection of the spiritual world. The spiritual world is also full of varieties. And as you will progress reading the Bhagavatam, you will see these varieties in the way that Krishna has various relationship with his different devotees, the various pastimes that he is performing. So there is variety. Spiritual world is not stagnant or static. There's always something happening in the spiritual world. And we all, you and me, all of us can hope to be part of the spiritual world because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And by understanding these purports that Prabhupada has so kindly given us. So I will stop here. If there are any questions or comments or corrections, please unmute yourselves. And
Hare Krishna, Madhu Kumari. Please accept my humble obeisances.
I
All
will.
good, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for wonderful, wonderful class. You always give so wonderful. And what I felt as you are delivering the lecture, you have so much conviction. You know, that's what come out very,
don't
very
know.
well.
I don't know about that, Palika Mataji. I'm
I
trying.
hear you. I hear you.
It's all mercy of all of you. It's all mercy of all of you. And what I'm speaking is simply repeating, like I read Prabhupada's lectures, I listened to other lectures, and I'm just repeating. I hope that, you know, the conviction comes through because of Srila Prabhupada.
Very nice, actually. Yes, because you have used so much verses from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. That's actually Srila Prabhupada. We must understand Bhagavad Gita, you know, wonderfully, so that these, you know, this is because the whole material is ignorance. You know, we are in ignorance, but Srila Prabhupada has given us Bhagavad Gita knowledge so nicely to us. If we really understand and, you know, and take to knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, then no matter what comes in our life, we will not be bewildered, we will not be, you know, shattered. It's just so wonderful, Bhagavad Gita knowledge. And that way, if we taking Bhagavad Gita's knowledge and try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, two together will make our life
Yes.
so wonderful, so wonderful.
Yes.
Srila Prabhupada has given us just the whole spiritual world in front of us. So either we'll take it or leave it, you know. So, but you made it very, very nicely. I really love your
Thank
way
you,
you
Palika
speak.
Mataji. But
Thank
you know,
you.
you saying about Bhagavad Gita and that, it's very interesting. I've been reading the Bhagavatam and, you know, Bhagavad Gita and whatever. And it's interesting how we can actually connect verses. Like there's something in the Bhagavatam which immediately strikes you that, oh, you know, this is what is being said in the Bhagavad Gita also. So I actually have made notes of some of the verses which are like connecting. And it's very interesting to find that connection. You know, it's really interesting.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
very much.
Any questions or corrections? Okay, if not, then we will stop here. I have a very early morning tomorrow, so it's good. We stop. Thank you very much. And hopefully I will see you again very soon. Vanchakalpatrubhascha kripa sindhubhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Oh, hold on a minute. There is a question on the chat. Why is there a need to reestablish the relationship as relationships are between equals? Isn't faith in God enough? I don't have the name of the person who's asked this question, but very interesting question. Because the point that I pick up from here straight away is relationship is between equals. Even in the material world, it's not always true, is it? Because there is the mother and child relationship that is not between equals. You know, the child is a child and the parents are the parents. They are not equals, but they have a relationship. So yes, there are some relationship, a variety of relationship which is between equals, let's say of friends. But there is also a relationship of dasya, which we spoke about, a servant and master. There is a relation of vatsalya, parents. So there are those relations also where you don't have to be equal. And yes, faith in God is good. But our Gaudiya Vaishnavas and Krishna consciousness is teaching us that, you know, we are being asked to go beyond just that. We are being asked to, you know, Mahaprabhu especially came to establish the relationship that we have with Krishna. And that is what is being spoken about. In fact, we are speaking, Krishna consciousness is speaking about the highest relationship, that what the gopis had with Krishna. Now, we are not saying and suggesting that all of us must think we're gopis. What was suggested in one class by one of the acharyas is that the best is to start with thinking that you are the servant of the servant of the servant, because that is what Mahaprabhu said. Yeah, das, 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 anudas. But even that is a relation. So establish some kind of relation, because if there is no relation, if there is no give and take, then it is dry. Krishna consciousness is not dry. Krishna wants to have relation. That is why when Krishna descends in the form of Krishna, he makes Yashodamai forget that he is God. All of the Vrajvasis don't think of him as God. They think of him as just another child. Who they love him just for being this really lovely child. Yashodamai is thinking of him as her son who's totally dependent on her. She thinks, if I don't feed him, if I don't look after him, what will happen to him? So how would that relation come about if there was just faith or there was just awe and reverence? So we are going beyond that and we want to establish relationship. I hope that kind of answers your question a little bit. Okay. Thank you. We shall, sorry, is there some comment?
Thank you very much for the wonderful class, Mataji. It's really kind
Thank
of
you.
brought a wave of conviction, and thanks for taking us through quick your Bhagavad Gita also. Very enlightening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shailaja Mataji. Thank you, everybody. So again, why do we have to read all the religious books? Bhagavad Gita and Srimad to qualify, and is there any simpler Bhagavad Gita? Okay, so a very important point here, and the question that is being asked is, I will read it out for everybody so we know. Why do we have to read all the religious books like the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam to qualify to go back home? Is there any simpler Bhagavad Gita and simpler Srimad Bhagavatam? Now, in our today's discussion, we did speak about this, where we said that knowledge or gyan or knowing all the verses and all of that is not important to go back home. It is not at all. And we have in our scriptures, and our acharyas have given us stories of, one most famous story that comes to my mind is of the Brahmana when Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India. This Brahmana was holding the Bhagavad Gita upside down. He was illiterate, he could not read, but his guru had said to him that you must read the Gita every day. So following his instructions of his guru, he was holding the Bhagavad Gita upside down, and he had tears streaming down his eyes. And there were other Brahmanas who were making fun of him, knowing that he cannot read. And at that time, Mahaprabhu came there and he asked this Brahmana, what are you doing? And he explained to him that I cannot read, but I have been instructed to read the Bhagavad Gita every day. So, I'm trying to just, And then Mahaprabhu said, in that case, why do you have tears streaming down your eyes? And the Brahmana said that, look at this. The all supreme personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is become the charioteer of Arjuna. How merciful is the Lord? The Lord is called Bhaktavatsala. How merciful is the Lord? And seeing that, I am crying. So the point that I'm trying to make over here is that one does not have to be well versed in these verses. But currently, because our consciousness is completely taken over by this material energy, and in order to simply just wash away the dust, to kind of just, get a clean mirror, we have to read and understand something. Not everybody needs to do that. The gopis were not educated, but the gopis had the faith in Krishna. If I am able to have faith in Krishna without going through all these things, that is amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And there are people in the world today also. There are people, I'm sure there are people, all these rural village women who don't really read or are not educated. But, if you tell them Krishna is the Lord, and they are willing to accept. So you have to have that faith and conviction. And if you have that, then you don't need to read all these things. Have faith in the holy name of the Lord. In Kali Yuga, it is said that you can develop your faith and conviction in the Lord by understanding that the holy name is non-different to Lord. And in that case, if you're unable to read these things, it is fine. But you should have the faith that without even reading all these things, I totally understand that Krishna is God, which is a difficult idea in today's day and age, because we are filled with so much material knowledge. So it is difficult. I hope that answers your question. I don't have your name. It just says Zoom user. So I can't address you, but I hope it answers your question. If not, and if you have further questions, you can always message me and I'm willing to answer your questions. I think we will stop now. It is 40 past.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very much. I'm very, very, very pleased today that I got this answer from you, because I can understand the shabads, and I feel that I'm really honored to listen to you today, and I'm content today
That's
that
very
you
nice.
have explained me.
Mataji, may I know your name, please?
Mrs. Kumari.
Okay, Mrs. Kumari. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like I said, Mrs. Kumari, we've read so many times that one doesn't have to recite the Vedic hymns and the Sanskrit shlokas and all of that. We have so many examples. When Krishna was hungry in the jungles, he sent his friends to get some food from the Brahmanas who were performing various austerities and sacrifices, and the Brahmanas refused to give food. And at the same time, when they went to the Brahmanas' wives who were not educated, they left everything and they ran to offer whatever they had to Krishna. So it is not by dint of knowledge that one understands Krishna, it is by love.
Yes,
Now,
Mataji.
how you can get that love, that's a different thing. Everybody is on a different journey. Everybody is on different rungs of the ladder. I am probably right at the bottom, so I need these things.
No, Mataji, I'm
No,
right at the bottom.
I'm just giving an
I'm right at the
example
bottom
that,
at the moment.
everybody is different, but
Yeah.
don't think that, you have to develop love for Krishna, develop your relation with Krishna. That's it.
That's it. Is that feeling you get, the feeling
Correct.
when you are not, even if you just listen to the Mahamantra all day long,
Brilliant.
or,
That's it.
and, you feel that something is filling in you. You
Yeah.
feel content.
Yeah.
You feel you have achieved something, little drop of water maybe.
Can
from
I
Lord.
can I just add one more thing? Think about this, that when Prabhupada came to the West, right?
Yeah.
All these people, I mean, we, at least coming from an Indian background, have heard of Krishna all our life. These people had never heard who Krishna is. How is it that they
Yes, Mataji.
developed so much love and conviction? Simply because of the love that Prabhupada had. You see?
Yes.
So when you associate with a pure devotee of the Lord, they, at that time, they did not have access to Srimad Bhagavatams. They did not have access to all these teachings, but they had love for Srila Prabhupada and they had faith in his words.
Yes,
That's
Mataji.
it. So just by listening to Srila Prabhupada, just by listening to the Maha Mantra, because Prabhupada said, just chant and be happy. That's what he said. And that's really what we should be doing, honestly.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you very much. My Dandavan Pranam to you. Thank you so much.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, hopefully I will see you all again soon. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful Kartik. Please come to the manor to offer candles. We offer candle every morning and evening, loads of time. We've extended timings. So please do come. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I want
Yes.
to ask you one thing.
Yes, yes.
Till what time is the last offering during weekdays for
Okay.
the candle?
Okay, so on
offering to-
weekdays, on weekdays it starts at 4:30. It goes on till 6:30. At 6:30 the curtain closes for offering, and then again from 7 to 7:30 there is candle offering.
And what about in the evening? Is it 7 till 9?
No, this is the evening. 4:30 to 6:30 in the evening, and 7 to 7:30 in the morning. You only have it from 7 to 7:30.
Oh, right. It starts only at 4:30. That means
4:30.
4:30 till 7:30.
Yes, in fact, it starts at 4:20. As soon as the aarti starts, it starts at that time.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful class.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.